Oh, all right. How's it going? Greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in. How y'all doing? All right. Got some people in the chats already. Hello. We're live on Rockfin too. Rockfin people, hello. Live on X too. Hello. If you're on X, you can comment and I can see you up in the StreamYard. So um, that's always kind of cool. Didn't realize it could do that. We're live on Callin too. If listen, the phone lines will be open for I don't know 10 minutes on Callin if somebody wants to call in. But man, there's just an avalanche of news going on today. A lot of it having to do with the Epstein things, and what an interesting connection between Epstein, the Mossad, the Bidens, uh, what's going on now in Israel, and all there is it's kind of a massive ring. I don't know. What's up, Global Solidarity? How you doing? You said something funny earlier. I wasn't quite sure what you meant. Soft cell peddlers of doom are funny. I don't know what that means. What is a soft cell peddler of doom exactly? Is it I'm not sure. I don't know. Explain what a soft cell is. It the people that are semi doomy, kind of doomy? I don't know. Anyways, the CIA, yes, Salt Lakers, yes, the CIA. Man, I don't even know how much I'm going to be able to cover today, but oh, that's right. There was an earthquake in Japan. Oh, and Fukushima, right? I was watching that happen. I was like that. Deline Parole says the three core buildings of Fukushima were shook again Monday the 1st. Will another plume cross over North America by the weekend? And would you even know? Yeah. Soft sellers have a time span of decades and centuries. Okay. Anyways, real quick, I wanted to thank some people that contributed after hours, who supported the show, and I thank you. Where am I? I'm lost. Oh, Obsolete Optics hit me up on PayPal with a very generous donation. Thank you, Obsolete Optics. I appreciate it. And someone, I don't know, they don't, sometimes the coffees, they just call everybody someone. So everybody is someone. You know how true that is. Someone bought 5 coffees. Cyber attacks are on the rise. So much going on. Take good care, and thank you so much for being here. And thank you. I don't know who that was that gave me that, but thank you. It just says someone. Let's see. Okay. Um, Bill Eries on Rockfin says new record high amount of humans on the planet reached today, breaking yesterday's record. Yeah. Probably going to keep on breaking those records. Yeah. Yo. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on one second. Let me. Oh man. So, golly. Sometimes when I have so much to bring you, I get a little like overwhelmed, information overwhelmed, and I just don't even know where to start. Anyways, so first of all, let me start by this. We're gonna go all over the place today. Osama, lots of solar activity, EQs, and volcanic activity. Sure. Here we are. Oh man, I'm gonna. I love it. Listen to all the people that try and jump in here and say, and there have been many. Well, this is just crazy conspiracy. Oh, I love your climate change, but man, when you talk about politics, you just whoa, you lost me, bro. But you should listen to the things I'm saying about politics because I'm on the right side of the. I'm on the right side of gauging what's really happening in the situation, and I'm not alone. I'm not saying like I'm not holding myself up as like I am the soothsayer and the smartest person, and I understand things that are going on and nobody else understands. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I actually align with people who can see things for what they are, no matter what it is, no matter what the subject is. So I don't, I have no political sides or boundaries. I don't have scientific sides or boundaries. I don't have, cultural sides or boundaries. I align with the things that I think look right. So if you've been watching the show and you've been, listening to my political takes or whatever else it is I'm talking about beyond climate change, if you want to actually, acknowledge that the things that I've been pointing out for the last couple of years have turned out to be correct things. And the things that are still holding on, the people that are still holding on to those narratives, what are you talking about? That's crazy. There's less and less of y'all because you were holding on to a narrative or a propaganda line that was not true and correct. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm just trying to get you to open your minds to the things that you think are like, oh, you're on the wrong side. You're one of those bad, crazy people. Just stop that. Stop with the judgment. Because judgment is discerning, and you need judgment, and you need discerning in the things that you see and all that. Everybody needs that in order to navigate the world. But sometimes your judgment is just a reaction. So sometimes your judgment is it just flashes out and it's not really based on actually looking at something. Sometimes you got to slow down, not be a reactionary and actually look at things. And then, reactionaries just react. People that think and look and understand and try to comprehend, they don't just react to things. They come from a place of like, I feel I have looked at this, enough to feel, deeply about this or feel it on a different level than just a reaction. And this is by the things that the information I've gathered, I have this opinion. Anyways, whatever. So yes, Gene, hello, all you open-minded people. You all are open-minded. The people that are here and rocking with me, you all have the open minds, and I appreciate you. I do. I really do. Why am I getting sound on this? I don't want to have sound on this. I don't want to have sound on this. I think that's from Twitter. Anyways. Got a little echo there. Sorry. Okay, so after all that, give me one good reason why you should engage a Zionist in a discussion on a social platform when they are clearly getting paid more the longer the discussion lasts. Let's look at this. What is this? This is a news headline from the BBC. Israel. Government pays students to fight internet battles. So Side Hustle and Greg and all, I'm sure it's not just Israel, and I'm sure it's not, maybe it is just Israel. Who knows? I'm sure there are other entities out there, right? All the people that are like coming in, blah, you don't know, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Look, maybe some of you actually hold those positions, but I have called this for a long time that I think these people are paid, they're bots, they're. This is a headline from the BBC saying the government pays students to fight internet battles. That's who these people are. The people that come in and they're like, whoa, no. The guys, the people with the names Kiev or HIMARS, you guys are just, I can see you from a mile away. But this just confirms that I was correct. I'm correct. Anyways, hardy har har. So to the people that thought, oh, no, I just really believe this. I mean, we already know that people do this. Anyways, here's somebody's getting, I guess it's the pay breakdown for being one of those people that runs around and posts things or, fights with people or starts things. Listen, we already know this too, based on the fact that there's been revelations, years ago, that there were operatives, people being paid by the DNC to post, and all through COVID, I'm sure there were so many doctors and nurses, quote unquote, and other entities out there posting stuff about, what's going on? No, you're crazy. You don't know. There's cases are rising and oh my God, in the water supply, blah, blah, blah. Right. Like, so there's just, thanks, Salt Lake. You're funny. That is hilarious. Yeah, we already know it's already been uncovered, right? Brooklyn Dad Defiant, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, who just seemed like he was just just a lover of humanity and just wanted good things for the people. Is a paid operative of the DNC. So this has been happening for a long time. It's been going on for a long time. This is not new news. But I'm just saying. It looks like a perfect side hustle, doesn't it? Yes, haha. Anyways, I felt a little vindication from this post. And it's funny to me. And y'all are, again, to the people, to the side hustles of the world, you just as obvious. Obvious as a chemtrail, I guess. What about those obvious? They're pretty obvious. I mean, geez, if you just look at the sky and you're like, what are those straight lines in the sky? They must be clouds. They're just clouds. These things that are straight lines and form grids, or they just happen to be they follow the sun across the sky. They're not anywhere else in the, in your viewfinder. They just follow the sun across the sky. That happens here all the time. So it looks obvious to me. I'm like, of course, right? Duh. What are you talking about? Okay, Jesus Christ. New Hampshire becomes the second state to seek to ban cloud seeding and other forms of geoengineering. And what they're talking about is geoengineering. They don't actually say the word chemtrails. This is the original post from a New Hampshire outlet. It's been reposted by other outlets. With the word chemtrails in the title, right? So, anyways, this establishes a regulatory process to prevent the intentional release of polluting emissions in New Hampshire's atmosphere and at ground levels and provides penalties for violations. The bill requires reports of such violations to be made by state officials and members of the public to the Department of Environmental Services Air Resources Division of Compliance, and requires New Hampshire County Sheriffs carry to enforce the provisions. What emissions? The intentional release of polluting emissions, including cloud seeding, weather modification, excessive electromagnetic radio frequency, and microwave radiation. Wow. The General Court finds that many atmospheric activities, such as weather modification, stratospheric aerosol injection, that's, geoengineering, as recognized by pretty much every, world bodies everywhere. Other forms of geoengineering involving the intentional release of polluting emissions harm, and this is true. This is every environmentalist can agree with this. Even people that are concerned about climate change can agree that the reason you don't want to do this is because it's harmful. They say it's going to be helpful in the short term, but it's probably harmful in the long term. Anybody would agree with this. Harm human health and safety, the environment, agriculture, wildlife, aviation, state security, and the economy of the state of New Hampshire. Without using the word chemtrails, which can trigger people, the bill does address a genuine set of circumstances. From public figures to leading universities, there is chatter about aerosolizing the atmosphere with materials to block the sun. Duh. We have less, again, there's a NASA website that says that contrails can turn into long-lasting cirrus clouds, long-lasting clouds that can last for, up to 48 hours. Well, duh, if you know that if you can reproduce this thing, why wouldn't you reproduce it? Oh no, they would never do that because that would be dangerous. Okay. I mean, yeah, it would be dangerous. That's why they're introducing bills in Texas and New Hampshire, and Mexico also has outlawed geoengineering or testing of geoengineering. Let's see. We have less information about what that means than we did about the COVID vaccines. Whoa. And we can assume it is neither safe nor effective. Absent the knowledge or understanding, knowing that the agents or agencies likely to suggest or attempt such things will lie about it. Knowing that the agents or agencies likely to suggest or attempt such a thing will lie about it. They will lie about, right? The idea that they wouldn't do that because it'd be bad for the people is just the most naive, third grade level thinking you could possibly engage in. So, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody who's like, what are you saying? I'm sorry, but if you actually think they wouldn't do that because it would be bad, okay, what else haven't they been doing because it would be bad? Because they pretty much just do everything they possibly can get away with and more, whether it's bad for people or not. And we know this. We know it all operates like that. And I just, where do you draw the line? They'll totally do this, but they would never do that. Okay. There is no line. There is no line. If you don't understand, there's no line. Yes, Gene, they are concerned that the chemicals will damage the environment. That's exactly. Have they banned Roundup yet? No, they have not. Exactly my point. Where is the line? It's just funny to me. It's hilarious to me that people, absolutely totally understand that these agencies and the corporations and the people doing these things are absolutely corrupt, to the core. But there's some imaginary line in their head where they're like, oh, but they would never do that. That's crazy. Okay. Alrighty. Anyways, that our elites have at best a declining opinion of human life and at worst a commitment to end it in their depopulation quest. This is not a ridiculous piece of legislation. Anyways, here's a funny. I found this funny fact check. Hold on. Why am I here? Why am I even here? Oh, anyways. Here we go. God, that really took a long time to rectify that. Funny fact check article, but true one. Fact check: Mexico is banning solar geoengineering, not chemtrails. Yeah, I mean we can argue about the language, I guess. What's the difference, though? It's kind of the same thing. It is the same thing, by the way. The claim: Mexico is banning solar geoengineering chemtrails. Our rating partly false. Solar geoengineering and chemtrails are not the same. The government of Mexico has not outlawed so-called chemtrails, which experts say do not exist. Experts. Because they're experts and they just, experts are such downers. Experts are just like, no, no way. They're just no fun. Why would you ever invite an expert to the party? Or, or God forbid, be called an expert. It's like just being called like the most, boring loser type. Oh, or what are you, an expert? Oh, why? Well, yes, I am. In January, the government announced a ban on solar geoengineering, citing both regulatory and environmental concerns, of course. Of regulatory and environmental concerns. On January 13th, the Mexican government issued a press release stating the country would prohibit and, where appropriate, stop experimentation practices with solar geoengineering in the country. Remember, this is in response to the private company, so-called private company that was like releasing, releasing stuff, doing their own tests about solar geo. They were just like, we're just going to go ahead and do it. Like, okay, you already been doing it. It's just everybody knows about it. It's widespread. It's ongoing, and that whole thing was just to me that whole thing was like an attempt by the people. They're just trying to slowly leak out that, like, of course we've been doing this, right? They're going to inch it for, right? Harvard and David Keith and all those people, they're like, well, we hope to do some tests on geoengineering soon, And then this private company is like, oh, we just went ahead and did it in Mexico. We just, we were sick of people, pussyfooting around. We just wanted to go ahead and do it, get it over, right? Like, so, yeah, private firm doing it, sure, right? They're just trying to inch it forward. The idea that they've been doing it for decades, right? It's been going on for a long time, and they're just trying to figure out a way to like let people know that they're doing it without having to admit that they've been doing it for decades or something like that. I don't know. David Keith is a psychopath, absolutely. Anyways. Solar geoengineering is a controversial practice meant to combat rising global temperatures by reflecting sunlight away from the Earth. It typically involves releasing aerosols into the atmosphere or injecting them into clouds. Okay. Solar geoengineering does not include the white trails left by airplanes in the sky, sometimes referred to as chemtrail by conspiracy theorists. They actually had to say the word. Say the word. Those trails, actually called contrails, are made up of frozen water vapor, not harmful chemicals. No way. Secretly added by the government or other nefarious acts. No way. They would never do that because they're not nefarious. Previously reported in debunking this debunk. Say the word. This conspiracy theory. Go ahead. Say it. Say all the words. Okay. Anyways, whatever. Well, Gene, I think there are some that are natural and there are some that are, I don't know. I live in LA. I'm a human being that actually has eyeballs at work, and I look at the sky sometimes and I'm like, what the hell? All those clouds look really straight. And they seem to be spreading out, and they seem to be lasting all day. Like, that's just not a contrail. It's not a contrail. That's not, or if they are contrails, the ones that are the ones that are like zigzagged, crisscrossed all over the sky, or the ones that follow the sun across the path of the sky. Those are not like, oh, they just naturally occur right in front of the sun. Whoopie doo. Like, no, that's not. That's not. That's not. No, that's not. Sorry, it's just kind of obvious. Some of the contrails are, and how would you? What a great, what a great way to be able to muddy the water about how, when people ask like, what are they doing up there? Well, this is totally naturally occurring. Some might be naturally occurring, some might not. Who would know the difference? I mean, it's like it's like the perfect bank heist. I don't know. It's warmer right in front of the sun. I've heard that one too. No, they lay them across the path of the sun. How about that one? Like, bam, bam, bam. The sun is going here over the sky, and there'll be like a bunch of contrails like here, 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 here. And the sun like goes in front of the contrail. Like, that happens too. Anyways. All right. So what else? What else can we talk about? Hey, Worth Zero. I think you might be one of those Israeli students who are paid to, or maybe not. I don't know. I can't tell. The virulent podcast virus and how you can avoid it. What are you talking about? Yeah, I think we have another one. I've detected another one. You're not fooling anybody, Worth Zero. And your opinions are bum bum bum. Anyways. How are we losing to students? Man, we're not losing. No, they're losing. They've lost. They're trying and trying and they've lost. They don't nobody actually is on their side. Nobody's like, "Sure, whatever you say." Oh yeah, this guy got into the chats and started saying that the host was like totally crazy and a conspiracy theorist, and I decided to go with him and follow him around wherever he was going because he seemed to make the most sense. That never happens. Anyways, what else is going on? Seems to be a lot less snow in the Pacific Northwest. Real quick, we'll just look at this. We've got so much to talk about. Ski areas adjust to significantly slashed snowpack on regional mountaintops. Steve Austin said, "Who could have predicted this?" Right, last year was a record snow, and this year there is no snow. Again, actually, because every year before the record snow for like 5 years in a row, there was no snow. It was like less snow, less snow, less snow. Oh, 1 year of record snow. Everybody was like, it's over. Drought's over. It's done. Climate change. Get out of here. Next year, no snow. Okay. That's kind of how it works. Yes, Italian. Must be Italian. I meant Italian, not Israeli. Italian. That's what I meant. Just getting it all mixed up. I'm sorry. Whoops. My bad. My bad, guys. Let's see. We are probably going to jump to Rockfin because at some point soon, because there's a lot of real harsh things we're going to cover that are probably too harsh for YouTube. Trying to see what I can talk about here before we get there. But man, yeah, the whole Epstein thing is quite a big topic of conversation. All right, before we let's see. I got to clean. By the way, Poppy let me know a lot of you guys are asking about links to what I'm covering. I will try and post the links that to things I cover on the show on Twitter. So what I was doing for a long time is posting all the links on Patreon, and if you are a Patreon subscriber, you can get access to the links. But I completely just fell off the map and updating the links, so there's like a couple months behind. I'm trying to actually update all the links for the last few months on Patreon because it is time consuming. But once I get those updated, then the links will be fresh on Patreon. I'm hoping to do that in the next like 2 days. Because it takes like hours to get those to update those links. Okay, where am I? Oh, okay. Almost forgot. Yesterday I was talking about a really great documentary called The Great Taking. And it's a really good documentary. I suggest that you all check it out. We're going to listen to a bit of it. And then we're going to try and go to Rockfin, I think.
A public utility. The very idea.
This is a really, and interestingly enough, this guy, David Webb, there were really like huge structural changes in the banking system, and they were actually implemented by or some of the people that were involved in implementing these structural changes were the CIA, which is this channel monetized? It is monetized, Salt Lakers. It is. It is monetized. Here we go.
Is a big hidden hand injecting lots of created money directly into the financial markets, holding them up right now, as well as allowing institutions to believe they have downside risk by buying protection in the derivatives market, the combination of those things. So this support, the hidden hand as I call it, can be withdrawn at the time of their choosing. But we're getting late in this process given what's already happened to the interest rates. The other indication of timing is the bank resolution, the documents of the Bank Resolution Authority in Europe. Their planning cycle documents were mandating all of the globally systemically important banks to be ready for solvent wind down at the end of last year, 2022. Now, what they mean by solvent wind down is not wind down of the entire bank on a solvent basis. It will be parts of the bank that will remain solvent. But they've literally mandated that they have to be ready, the biggest banks, to go flat on all of their derivatives positions in a controlled way suddenly. So they've prepared for that. That is operational as of the end of last year. Now, in this year's planning cycle document, they are saying that they are on track to have completed all their work by the end of this year, 2023. So these are indications Americans. To give you another idea of the seriousness of this, they've been running these trilateral exercises with Britain and the EU and the US for 6 of the 7 past years. I think they may have missed a year during COVID. But in these exercises, from the U.S. side, the participants are the U.S. Treasury Secretary, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the chairman of the FDIC, the heads of all these entities in this exercise, which I've never seen before with anything. So they're very, very serious about this. And these exercises are about assuring the cross-border transfer of the collateral when the banks are put into wind down. So you've noticed in the news that there have been some failures of banks in the last year, and that is due to this increase, this backup in interest rates. And the idea that this is a bank-specific problem is not the case. These are the canaries in the coal mine. This is absolutely systemic. Again, looking back at the 1930s for guidance here, the first big bank failure was in 1930. It was allowed to happen, and there was a kind of trickle of bank failures. So the bank holiday, when they closed everything, wasn't until 1933. So it was an unfolding banking crisis for 3 years. So it's not unusual that you would have an opening stage here of a number of banks that have failed, but it doesn't all let loose immediately. It unfolds over months and perhaps a couple of years before you hit the point where everything's in free fall. Well, how could things be better here? How could this go well? We have to imagine that. It seems to be overwhelming, but the first step is to get this awareness up to the highest levels so that people realize we don't want this to happen. It's been taken to an insane extreme, and it's not going to go well for anyone. Then people are left with this idea that, well, everything will just collapse. And I don't believe that at all. There is a real world with real economic activity that goes on despite this system that extracts resources from people and places enormous stress on them, that funds psychological operations that are, of course, public-facing. They're used against the population so that the resources of the public are extracted, tremendous burdens are placed on people, stresses. It's a system that subjugates people. And if that simply stops, everything gets better immediately. Now, how could things be different? Central banking should be a public utility. The very idea that it should be controlled by private interests, that is the source of all the problems for humanity. That must stop. As a public utility, of course, banking is a useful thing to have. We have to realize we don't have to go back to sticks and stones. We don't want everything burned to the ground. We have to take back control of our society, which has largely been created by good people, all the innovations, and usurped. So we don't owe them anything. We have good things that have been created. We just have to not allow them to control these things any longer.
Okay, I'm going to stop playing this. This is a long documentary, but very good. I really like the fact that he said you need, banking should be a public utility, like the internet or like anything, should be a public utility. It's the privatization that's the problem. And I love that this was played on a very kind of a libertarian. I saw this documentary played on kind of a libertarian podcast. And I loved, they didn't really, I don't know. I love that he said, look, you need government to give, to provide services, to, add some, to sustain some kind of order, right? You can't just have like no government. You can if you have far fewer people, but if you have as many people as we have, you kind of have to have some things be deliver goods and services and whatnot. And you want to do that in a public way, not in a private way, because if it's done in a private way, then the people with the money get all the things, and the people with no money don't get nothing. That's how it works. Anyways, yeah, that it's a great documentary. I suggest watching it. I've watched it twice. It's really good, end to end. It's about an hour and some minutes. All right, let's move on. I just want to play a little bit of that, but he said something else that I thought was really good too. He's like, so I actually, there's a lot of evidence. He said there's, the people in control aren't lizard people eating babies like potato chips. I was like, well, maybe they are, but what he said was there's a lot of people in the below the head of the snake that make up the rest of the rest of everything that's going on, and that not everybody is is an evil psychopath. There are people that are part of the structure that are just people that might be trying to do their best. Anyways, I thought he made some really great points, and I really appreciated the fact that he was like, all right, we're not, the solution to this is not anarchy, or just, if you get rid of the government, you're going to get another government, that, and you're going to have to fight that one too, that. Anyways, if you get rid of the government and just have regional, even if you bring everything down to a local level, you're going to have like councils, city councils, and people getting together to make decisions, for the good of the immediate community, or the city you live in, or the region you live in, and that's called government. And you're gonna have to make sure that they're not corrupted. You're gonna have to put rules in place to make sure that things don't go awry. Kind of like what they did with the Constitution when they started the United States, right? Like, oh, let's make sure that things don't get too out of hand. Let's make this Constitution thing. That was the purpose of it. That was the point of it. So it's just, anyways. All right. Anyways, there was a golly. I'm gonna run out of time, or maybe I'm gonna have to go overtime a little bit. There's just so much to cover. Let's go to Israel a little bit, and then we'll try and play you some things about Epstein, probably on Rockfin. If you guys want to hang out for a couple extra minutes, probably going to go a couple minutes over. White House dismisses South Africa's genocide case against Israel as meritless. Totally bogus. Conspiracy theorists, that's what South Africa is. Israel's denied the allegations and says its defense forces make every effort to limit harm to the non-involved and allow humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. And I'm sure that everyone believes them. Everyone. Everybody's like, yeah, totally. But the White House has dismissed this as malarkey. Let's look at this. Good commentary here. South Africa charges Israel with genocide. Israel will defend itself in court. Thursday. Who's the lawyer? Alan fucking Dershowitz. Who was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 365,000 times. No, it was like 127. That's a lot. Something, I don't know what the number is. But Alan Dershowitz is going to defend Israel against the charges of genocide. And he's going to win. It's so bizarre. Anyways, here we go.
It's 80. Next Thursday, the International Court of Justice will hear a claim from South Africa accusing Israel of committing a genocide. This is especially significant because of South Africa's history of fighting against brutal apartheid. This hits even harder when you realize that Israel supported the apartheid in South Africa. And we already have countries that are coming out to endorse it even before the trial. We have Malaysia and Turkey that already came out in support of the genocide charges against Israel. And if you have the time, I highly recommend that you check out this document. It's 84 pages, but it's well documented and it's devastating for the state of Israel. I want you guys to understand, the hardest thing when it comes to proving genocide is proving the intent of committing genocide. Except in this case, we had Israeli officials that was like, we want everyone in Gaza dead. Anyone complicit with Hamas should be killed. Everyone in Gaza is complicit with Hamas. The entire Gazan population are legitimate targets. And while Israel was saying this unhinged garbage, you had South Africa that was just writing it down. South Africa was gathering the receipts, fam. Now, next Thursday, South Africa will appear in the International Court of Justice, look at Israel in the face, and say, this you? I predict that this case will be a historic moment where the hypocrisy behind the Western rules-based order is finally exposed.
Okay. Let's see. One more thing, and I'm going to jump to Rockfin for a few minutes. Caitlin Johnson. U.S. admonishes... hold on, let's see. Let's get this in the right place. U.S. admonishes Israeli officials for saying the quiet part out loud about ethnic cleansing. The U.S. State Department has issued a statement indignantly finger-wagging at two Israeli officials who recently drew headlines for openly endorsing the ethnic cleansing of the Gaza Strip. Oh, you guys set your up. You're kind of walking into some legal problems there, right? Because I guess you have to prove intent. You can't. You can commit accidental genocide, and that's fine. Whoopsie. I would let a couple of them bombs slip. Oh, dang. They just slipped right out of the gun. They slipped right out of the plane. I don't know what happened. But if you have intent to commit genocide, that's different. Anyways, two Israeli officials. The statement reads as follows: the United States rejects recent statements from Israeli ministers Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir advocating for the resettlement of Palestinians outside of Gaza. This rhetoric is inflammatory and irresponsible. We've been told repeatedly and consistently by the government of Israel, including by the Prime Minister, that such statements do not reflect the policy of the Israeli government. They should stop immediately. Meanwhile, Blinken went over to Israel and sold him some more weapons outside of the purview of Congress, which actually was an illegal arms sale. Did you all hear about that one? The offending statements by Ben-Gvir and Smotrich promote the idea of encouraging Palestinians to flee Gaza en masse, absurdly referring to this hypothetical outcome as voluntary migration, despite the fact that Israel has been doing everything in its power to make living in Gaza impossible. Did y'all see the thing about Blinken selling Israel weapons just all on his own. He's like, I'm just going to go. Ooh, that's funny because they're like, no results for this search. How about this? Where is it? Blinken is illegally bypassing Congress to sell weapons to Israel when he goes to Israel and makes it clear that he puts his religion and race before the country. Yeah, you can't. You don't. There is supposed to be some oversight on these kinds of things. Congress is supposed to have some oversight on this, and he's just like, no, we're just going to go. I'm going to go over there and just sell him some weapons because I'm a Jew. So that's totally the reason. Okay, whatever. Victory Jin says all arms sales to Israel are illegal because they have nukes. Sure. You will note probably without surprise that the statement contains nothing but empty scolding. No mention is made of the faintest possibility of any consequence of any kind being brought to bear should Israeli officials continue to openly advocate for eliminating the Palestinian population of Gaza and replacing it with Jewish settlements. This is because the U.S. has no intention of actually doing anything to hinder Israel's ethnic cleansing agendas. Well, certainly not. Because they're still like, how about some more bombs and guns? This is very bad. This looks very bad. How about some more bombs and guns? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're moving on over to Rockfin because we're going to look a little deeper into the Epstein thing. But not deep enough. Not as deep as I would like to. I mean, I might come back tomorrow. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. So throw a dart at the board and pick something to talk about, I guess, is how it's going to go. But golly gee willikers. Okay, YouTubers, I love you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for playing. Before I leave, though, I do bring the show to you for the free 99 on the daily. There aren't really any paywalls that I can think of. And, I do work hard to bring you this show every day. And if you do appreciate the show, and I do appreciate you all supporting the show, and I appreciate you all being here every day. There are many of you, many who support the show on the regular, and I really, really do appreciate you. One of the ways you can do it is buymeacoffee.com/BlackBearNews, Cash App at Red Llama Music, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, PayPal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, and you can Zelle me at KevinSandbloom@ProtonMail.com. All right, we're going to move on over to Rockfin YouTubers. Sayonara. Arrivederci.